In this video, we're going to show you how to create a MATLAB class. Click New and then select Class. MATLAB will create the template for you. So here you will see it's a class def, and you have property sections, method sections, and some templates for the methods. And it also shows you where to enter your comment. Here you can enter the description of the class, and in the property section you can enter the property names. For each property name you can add a comment to describe the property. Similarly, in the method section you will define every function for the method. The first function you define is a constructor, and then followed by other method functions. Here are the comments of this particular function, and then inside this function you can do comments that are related to the implementation of the methods. This is an example of a MATLAB class. It is for a 2D vector. Here is a description of the class. Here are the properties of the class. It is x and y, therefore the xy coordinates. The class has 3 methods plus a constructor. Here is the constructor. It is used to initialize the property values of x and y. The method getX is to retrieve the x coordinate. The method Y is to retrieve the y coordinate. The method getMagnitude is to calculate the magnitude of the vector. Here we use the square root of x squared plus y squared as the magnitude of the vector. Here I'm going to create a data object of class vector2D. So I'm going to use a variable vec2 to hold the data object. So I'm calling the constructor vector2D with the coordinate of 3 and 4. And we have the object created. Next, if we want to get the coordinate of x, we can use vec2 dot get x. Here we go. Or we can use the get x function directly, but we need to supply the data object as vector2. It will get the same result. Lastly, we can calculate the magnitude of the vector. It will be vec2 dot get magnitude or you can do get magnitude vec2. Here you can also retrieve the property directly, because in the definition we didn't set the access attribute. By default it will be public. Therefore you can access the attribute directly. Here's how you get it. It's vec2.x. This is not a good practice because we want to hide the data within the data object. Therefore, it is recommended you will change the attribute of the property to private or protected. Here I'm going to change it as protected. and I save it. Next, I'm going to try it again. You see that I will not be able to retrieve the property directly, but I can still get the property through the function call. Next, I'm going to create a new class vector3D. It is for the 3D vector. It inherits the superclass vector2D so that we only need to add the third coordinate in the new class. Here is the third coordinate. Next, we need to make some changes to the constructor. We have 3 coordinate values to assign to the properties. And for the first 2, we can use the constructor of the superclass vector2D. This is how it works. So the obj is a current object, and at vector2D, beginning to call the superclass method vector2D. And then we will supply 2 values for that constructor, which is xy coordinate. Then we will assign zcor, which is the z coordinate, to the newly created property z. Also, we don't need to worry about the 2 other methods, get x, get y. All you need to do is to add the third method called get z to retrieve the z coordinate. Next, we need to rewrite the method to calculate the magnitudes of the 3D vector. And in this case, all we need to do is to add the square of the third coordinate in the square root function. Okay, here we are. We can create a vec3 with 3 values, 3, 4, 5. And you can see that. And obviously we can use x. We can use that method because it's inherited from the superclass. And similarly, if we try the get z, and we get the third coordinate. Also, we can get the magnitude of the vector, which is 7.0711. Here is the interesting thing. And if you look at the properties here, the z has no access attribute assigned. In this case, the property z is a public property. So we can still get z directly. And this is not recommended. We need to change the access attribute to private or protected. Before we do that, let's check the other 2 properties. It's protected, and same thing for the y. So thus, we need to set the access property for z also as protected. And in this case, if we try to do it again, you will see this property is also protected.